Hey everybody. Last day of our 5-day seller boot camp. Um, I Hi everybody, just checking in. We're on the last day of our seller boot camp. Um, it's exciting to see what sort of interaction we've had, and hopefully we'll continue to have some questions answered by everyone about selling your home. Today, what I'm going to do is talk a little bit about, answer some of the questions that I got on Instagram from people about the home buying, home selling process, and then also talking about just a little bit about what it means to be in a seller's market. I've talked about that a couple of times this week, and just kind of sharing that and understanding what that means and what the advantages are to you as a seller. So just wait a couple more minutes. As usual, since we're on our last day, there will be a recap of everything. Um, it'll be on our YouTube page. I'll have all of the last days on our like on IGTV. So really, you can kind of check back everywhere. It'll be on the Facebook page. If you have any questions, you can always reach me at laurenmastracco@howardhanna.com. There's links to that on Facebook and Instagram. Or you can visit laurenmastraccoteam.com. And there's a lot of fun tools there as well. So let's get to some of our questions. The first question, I have a lot of equity in my house. Can I use that to buy my new house before I sell? Great question. We talked about this a little bit yesterday, but the idea is that yes, you can. Howard Hanna has a great program called the Buy Before You Sell program, and that's a great way to access your equity ahead of putting your home on the market and using it to purchase your next home. Otherwise, in a traditional transaction, without using something like that, we just ensure that we can line up the dates to be sure that your home that you're selling closes prior to the day that you close on the house that you're buying. That was a great question. Another question, how do you manage selling your house when there's so few houses on the market to buy? That's a great question. And we'll talk a little bit about amount of inventory when we talk about a seller's market. But a great way to make sure that you are able to purchase something is to either use the equity from your home, so using a home equity line of credit, again, ensuring that you can carry two mortgages, talking to a lender about that to be sure you're qualified, but also then, and like kind of figuring out all those timelines. That's one option where your house is essentially ready to go. And as soon as you find your next home, that's when we would list the new home. Another option would be to put in a contingency on the sale of your home that it's subject to you finding your next property. We call that subject to specific purchase. And that's a great way to have a full understanding of what your home is going to sell for. In this market where there's low inventory, it's a little bit more difficult to predict how the market is going to react to your home in terms of like, are people going to go over asking? Is, how quickly is it going to sell? All those things. And so by doing this, like subject to specific purchase contingency on the sale of your home, it really gives you a lot of the answers ahead of time. And so that would be a way to like ensure that you have the flexibility to find your next home. This is a tough one. I mean, buying and selling at the same time, it can be a really difficult process. I think that's why those are some of my favorite clients. because there are so many moving parts. And so working with somebody that you really trust, that is going to be on top of it, is going to be organized, can really make the difference when you're both buying and selling. Um, Another thing that I wanted to touch on that I thought about is, what's the definition of a seller's market? And I have some videos coming up that will explain that a little bit more, but we're able to measure the amount of inventory in an area based on months. And so, um, say nothing else were to hit the market, and um, everything that was currently on the market, how long would it take for all those homes to sell? So Lakewood is a great example right now. I just checked the other day, and we were looking at about zero point 0.6 months of inventory. So meaning if nothing else in Lakewood were to hit the market, we would, in less than a month, all of that inventory would be sold and gone. Um, the So that's a really low amount of inventory. What we consider to be um, what we consider to be um, a seller's market is anything less than 6 months of inventory. So we're talking about less than a month of inventory. A 6 months of inventory is considered more of a neutral market. So it's a great time to sell. It's a time where you really can have the flexibility, and it honestly, you may never. It's hard to say when you'll get more money for your home. It's also a great time if you're not interested in doing a ton of work on your home, being able to sell without doing some of that extra work. Um, and then just the last thing that I wanted to touch on after we've done kind of all of this is working with an agent who kind of understands this process and understands that there is an emotional attachment to your home. I was listening to a podcast about negotiating, and they were talking about how, like, the thought in real estate is always that somebody has to win and somebody has to lose. But in these situations, there's really a great, like, having somebody who can help you work towards having this be a win-win situation for every person in the transaction, and kind of being someone to guide you through it, from a not like an unemotional point, can be really helpful. So keeping that in mind, and just allowing somebody to kind of guide you and take some of the emotion out of the process, um, can really help to make it a much smoother process when you're selling your home. So sort of short and sweet today, on our last day. If you've missed any of the previous days, please feel free to check back on our page. We'll have them posted on Instagram, LinkedIn, and on YouTube. So follow us for more information. And again, check on laurenmastraccoteam.com for more information about buying or selling. And thanks for joining me this week. And hopefully we'll do some more lives and some more boot camps in the future.